All right, so I just stumbled across this a juicy update from Whale Insider that's got me pretty pumped. Ripple's RLUSD has officially landed on AAVA's Horizon Real World Asset Marketplace. And honestly, this is where things get interesting. You can now tap into some sweet yield opportunities by lending to institutional Ethereum borrowers. And that's exactly the kind of innovation I love seeing. What really gets me fired up is how they keep pushing RLUSD into new territories. It's like watching a chess master make strategic moves, always thinking 3 steps ahead with these use cases. But here's where it gets spicy. The crew over at EZA is dropping some serious predictions about RLUSD going head to head with USDC. They're calling it a perfect storm. And trust me, you're gonna want to hear their take on this showdown.
Yeah, in my mind, definitely. I think, there's a perfect storm coming for RLUSD potentially, for all the reasons you mentioned. Obviously, RLUSD has been designed to be compliant with a bunch of different regulations and rules, etc. And ultimately, the big advantage they have is they don't give a portion of their revenues and a portion of their income to Coinbase, which Circle does. Obviously, Circle was originally back in the day kind of launched almost together, and that agreement was structured very favorably towards Coinbase. I think RLUSD definitely has a very, very good window to capture a good share of what Circle's doing. So definitely more reasons to love RLUSD. And we're seeing good use cases as well of RLUSD. We hosted a big hackathon in Singapore, and people were really using it for a variety of different cool applications. Obviously, again, Zeno Finance comes back to that. They were using it to make payments with merchants and, P2P payments. So that was really cool. But I think, definitely we're going to see a lot more activity on that front. Obviously, it's, still relatively new in the space compared to USDC and USDT and other stable coins, but this is a very exciting time, definitely, Q3, Q4 of this year.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's what's really exciting. People are already buzzing about RLUSD potentially overtaking both USDC and USDT, which is pretty huge if you think about it. And get this, it's not just theoretical anymore. They're actually using it in real world scenarios right now. Representative French Hill just had this really productive chat with the BIS about their stablecoin work. And honestly, it sounds like they're opening up some amazing new payment options for everyday folks like us. Now, here's the interesting part. When BIS gets involved in these conversations, they're almost certainly talking about Ripple behind the scenes. I mean, think about it. BIS has been collaborating with Ripple for years now, especially with that RippleNet technology they've developed. It's fascinating because literally every white paper Biz publishes seems to circle back to RippleNet technology and XRP somehow. Then you've got Lynette Zhang diving into what she calls the dark side of crypto. And trust me, you really need to hear what she's saying. She's connecting dots between the World Economic Forum and that whole you'll own nothing and be happy by 2030 agenda, which honestly makes you think twice about where all this is heading.
Visible representation looks an awful lot like an ounce of gold, doesn't it? Yeah. Right? Yeah. They want you to think that these are the same things, but I'll tell you right now, I am not an engineer. And not only am I not an engineer, I am not a specific kind of engineer to understand the algorithms and the formulas inside of this garbage, which means that they can easily take advantage of me, and I would not have a clue. Just like we've been taking advantage with this stuff. And people don't understand this. It is worse. And by the way, Jeremy, I would say that it is not just central banks that have the ability to do surveillance money. I think all of these corporations, in tandem with AI, that knows your personality, studies how you think, can nudge you in the direction that they want you to go in, with overlapped the digital, the AI, and then the smart contracts. Before you know it, you're carrying all of your wealth on your phone, and AI is nudging you to buy that new shirt or buy that boat. You've got all your equity on your phone. They've been talking about this. I think I first talked about it on air in 2015. Mm-hmm. And you've got all your equity on your phone. It's just a little bit. I have all this equity. Before you know it, you get notified from your smart contract that you no longer own your house, or your car or whatever else it is that you have allowed them to tokenize and digitize. And that's why the World Economic Forum's prediction, by 2030, you will own nothing.
So here's what's already happening, and it's pretty wild. You've got Larry Fink out there talking about this stuff, along with plenty of other big players. They're basically planning to turn everything valuable into digital tokens. And here's the kicker. They're going to make it sound like an amazing deal for you. Think about it. They want to tokenize your business, your property, even your freaking house. They'll come to you saying, hey, need some quick cash from your home equity? Just tokenize 10% of your place. Sounds great, right? Wrong. Because suddenly there's this ticking clock where you got to pay it back, or boom, you're out on the street. This is where we're headed, folks. Everything around you, your rental properties, your belongings, literally everything becomes a token. It's actually happening right now. Here's a simple example of how this plays out. I throw $10,000 into some store value coin. Fast forward 1 year, boom, it hits $1 million. I'm on cloud nine, feeling absolutely fantastic. So picture this. I want to buy a house for my family. Normally, I'd have to sell my investments and use those gains to make the purchase, right? But here's where it gets interesting. If this store value coin works as collateral, I can simply take out a loan against it, no selling required whatsoever. This cycle just keeps repeating upward, and honestly, every single crypto investor should be paying attention to this opportunity. When you borrow against your crypto instead of selling it outright, you completely avoid those pesky tax obligations. You simply repay the loan later. But here's the beauty. You never actually sold your XRP or your XLM. We're already seeing platforms where you can put up cryptocurrency as collateral for house purchases. It's happening right now. Everything's becoming collateral, every single cryptocurrency with real utility and genuine value. Think about this logically. Crypto values will likely keep climbing over the coming years. So imagine borrowing against your XRP while earning passive income from your XLM to cover that loan payment. You're never selling anything. You could buy houses this way, launch businesses this way. The era of selling crypto is ending, folks. Nobody's going to want to sell anymore. Isa actually discussed the path to $1,000 XRP. Definitely worth hearing his take on this.
You know, you had, I think it was $1,000 price thesis. Was it based on the Swift model starting to shift, the growth of the XRP ledger, or potentially the growth of stablecoin, or kind of a combination of all?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question, and a lot of people asked for the sort of more detailed explanation, which I'm currently working on sort of putting out. But I think, for the purpose of this, at a high level at least, it's a combination of all of them. Obviously, Swift is a big component, but then a lot of it is actually driven by the use cases that we're actually seeing on the ground, in person, in real life. All of these incredible projects that are coming out and actually utilizing the XRP ledger in different ways. Obviously, DeFi and finance are a huge, use case. But then also, like I was talking about before, billions and billions are transferred internationally from, people in the US to people abroad, both in terms of business, remittances, but then also in terms of charity, and all sorts of use cases. And ultimately, when those applications really start to get used on an institutional level, that's really where you start to see not only more activity on the XRP ledger, obviously a huge, multiple times explosion, but also you start to see people focused more in terms of just, retail, looking at the tech underlying it. That's why companies like NVIDIA, for example, have seen, 1,000-fold increases in the price, is because, retail start to come and they start to see, AI is really taking off now. What's the best way I can actually invest in that? It's through, the products that NVIDIA makes. And so ultimately, I think, that's going to be a really interesting part of the whole story, is when, those sort of 93% of people, obviously, less accounting people who don't have access to the internet, et cetera, but, that huge proportion of people who don't currently own crypto come into the space and, figure out that XRP exists.
So and you've got the
pressure upwards on the price.
Exactly. You got the, obviously the ETFs, but I think also the professional money managers will start to see it.
Exactly.
Digital assets in general. And it
changes
it'll
really benefit.
outlook.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll really benefit, the top 10, I think, and obviously the top 5, we'll see the biggest increases, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, etc. But then also, the fund managers don't often like to delve really far down, and take more speculative bets. So the ones with the most volume, the tokens, that look the most attractive to them, will be naturally the ones on the top of that coin market cap list, so to speak.
So here's what he's getting at. All that FOMO money is probably going to pour straight into XRP. But did you catch what else he mentioned? To actually hit that $1,000 XRP target, we need serious institutional level action to kick in. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, David. Schwartz dropped this bombshell saying, we're only 12 to 24 months out from major institutional adoption. He said this around 6 or 7 months back, which means we're looking at maybe 5 months to 18 months tops before this whole thing explodes. And honestly, it's already starting to happen on a smaller scale right now. Here's why institutional adoption is absolutely crucial. It's the gateway to massive mainstream adoption. Picture this. Once regular retail investors finally discover XRP, I'm talking about all those people who haven't jumped in yet, they're going to absolutely flood this market, buying up everything they can get their hands on. That's when things get really wild. You've got scarcity hitting hard, demand going through the roof, and XRP getting locked up left and right. It's going to be absolutely insane. Look, here's the thing. We're absolutely going to witness XRP hit 4 digits. When do I think this magic will happen? My best guess is 2027, though honestly, it could surprise us and come even earlier. All the signs are pointing to next year being absolutely massive, even bigger than what we saw in 2025. By the time 2027 rolls around, I'm betting banks will have finished their testing phase with the XRP ledger and be fully operational. And hey, maybe we'll actually see those incredible price targets that Black Swan Capitalist keeps talking about. Biggie Sean's been telling everyone it's definitely not too late to jump into crypto. So seriously, if you can make moves tonight, do it. The energy is insane right now, and you can literally hear the crowd going wild, chanting XRP. Just listen to this excitement.
Crypto, and if it is one time that I'm gonna say this is not, you're not too late. Invest in crypto right now, tonight if you can. Like, do that shit tonight. You're gonna get a return from it. Bitcoin is a good one. Ethereum. What's the other one you said? Ripple, invest in that shit. I'm telling y'all right now, this is a quick flip. Do it tonight. It's about to go up. I think it's about to go up. It's not like I got no insider information. I think it's about to go up. But look, man.
Listen, everyone's catching on. This is the year to make some serious, quick cash. Even if XRP is totally foreign to you, there's real money to be made in this space over the next few months. We're heading into absolutely wild times in crypto, and you can feel that electric excitement building everywhere. Those who are already in the game, they're watching everything come together beautifully. I'm telling you right now, by Christmas, every single XRP holder is going to be grinning ear to ear. But here's the brutal reality. Over 70% of XRP holders will crash and burn within 5 years. Why? Because they'll panic sell way too early for some flashy car or to clear their boring bills and debts. Anyone who dumps their entire stash this cycle, they're probably going to kick themselves later. Problem is, tons of people forget about taxes and suddenly owe Uncle Sam big time, or they blow everything on that dream Lambo with its crazy $10,000 yearly maintenance costs. Others grab houses that seem totally reasonable when they were sitting pretty on $1 million, but reality hits different later. But here's what happens next. Those property taxes start eating away at that million year after year like a hungry monster. Before they know it, 5 years have passed and that million is completely wiped out. Now they're right back where they started, desperately hunting for the next big score. Here's the kicker though. By the time these folks come crawling back to chase another opportunity, the whole game will have changed completely. Regulations will be locked and loaded. 99% of crypto projects will have vanished into thin air. And the survivors? They'll be sitting pretty at sky-high prices that'll make your head spin. Picture this. You decide to jump back into XRP in 5 years. It'll probably be cruising well above 10 grand by then. Want to grab some XLM? That'll be over $5,000 easy. XDC, same story, $5,000 territory. Why? because all those silly meme coins will be history, and that massive liquidity currently trapped in them will flood into assets with genuine rock solid value. Once the big institutions roll in and mass adoption becomes reality, these golden opportunities will evaporate forever. People are scrambling to dump their crypto without realizing they're about to witness something extraordinary. They're completely distracted and missing the bigger picture. There are actually people in this space who throw everything at meme coins exclusively. Look, here's what's happening. People aren't diversifying at all. They're literally just rolling the dice, hoping to strike it rich on some random meme coin. And you know what? It's exactly the same story with Bitcoin. Turn on any news channel right now. What do you see everywhere? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum. That's where they're desperately trying to get you to dump your cash. But here's the thing, the smart money, it's flowing into utility and real world applications, because when this massive shift finally hits, there's no turning back, my friend. We won't be chasing silly meme coins anymore. We won't be stuck obsessing over Bitcoin or Ethereum either. We're moving full speed ahead into the future. Think cutting edge technology, artificial intelligence taking over, blockchain revolutionizing everything, plus a completely new financial ecosystem. Picture this, everything running on autopilot with machines literally conducting business with other machines. So this is exactly where IOTA steps into the spotlight. Digital commerce is about to explode worldwide. We're talking truly global scale here. And XDC, that's your answer for seamless person-to-person transactions. XLM handles the same magic, but for bank-to-bank transfers. Then there's XRP and HBAR. These guys are positioned to grab pieces of every sector. Plus, HBAR's got some serious AI integration brewing. Don't sleep on algo either. It's going to be absolutely crucial. Same goes for ADA and QNT. That's the backbone holding this entire ecosystem together. This is what's actually coming, folks. But wait, there's more crypto beyond these heavy hitters. Flare is going to be an absolute beast by then. Honestly, there's a solid chance Flare hits $5,000 or more. QNT, we're probably looking at six-figure territory. 5 years, that's our timeline, but honestly, everything's changing way before that even hits. I'm betting by 2027, this transition will already be ancient history because regulations are literally knocking on our door. Once those fall into place, tokenization explodes with serious momentum. ISO standards will already be launching these cryptocurrencies to price levels we can barely imagine right now, especially since people will be using crypto directly in those ISO messages. Trust me, people are seriously underestimating ISO's impact here. But until everything unfolds, stay patient, stay optimistic, and let's build wealth together. All right, I'm wrapping this up now. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. You guys are amazing. Catch you in the next one. Have an awesome night.